I don't know, dude. I don't even know how you would do that. And I clearly like was totally wrong. I was like, there's no way that can happen.
All right,
Yeah.
so with the release of Shakin' In Them Boots, the video, we thought it would be a really exciting and awesome idea to have one of the guys that wrote it come on here and answer a few questions for everybody. So James, welcome. I don't know where you are, but it looks like you got a couple fans in the background.
Yeah, that's my biggest fan, actually. I should have had that joke ready already.
Anyways, so what was obviously, like, you guys have such a big band as it already is, and obviously you guys need a great selection of songs. Um, what made you give me this puppy? I mean, what was like the deciding factor where you're like, you know what, like, we'll let Jade have this song instead of keeping it for ourselves?
Yeah, it's weird. Like you obviously know this too. Is like you always like whenever you write a song, you're not like necessarily writing with like a specific thing in mind. You're just like you usually toss around ideas and then you're like, oh, that idea sounds like it could be this musical thing or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I feel like when you're writing, you're not usually thinking like, oh, is this gonna work for me? You just want to write the best song, right? And this was one where actually it was weird because when we wrote it, it was like a little bit more like I don't know, it wasn't as I guess like traditional sounding as you did it. And so when I had originally like we had the demo and it was kind of like almost like rockier or something like that. And I was like, this probably like doesn't make sense for what like we just sonically don't do something like that's like really fast and like we've never done anything like that. We're not very fast people. It was funny because I don't even know. I think it might have been through we obviously have the same manager and same producer. But I don't know if it was, but Todd mentioned he's like Jade loves that song, but he thinks it could be like really make it a more traditional sounding thing. And I was like, I don't know, dude. I don't even know how you would do that. And I clearly like was totally wrong. I was like, there's no way that can happen. And so when he like sent over like kind of the rough idea of it, I was like, that's actually crazy. This obviously was meant to be a Jade song because it was not going to sound that cool if we did it.
Yeah, that was definitely a fun experiment, I think. Like, after hearing the final.
I think so too, and I feel like maybe that's like how you know if a song is right to like let someone else cut it is if they take it and like do the song justice and make the song like their own and take it on like a life of its own. That's kind of the goal. Do you know what I mean? If somebody can take it and elevate the song when they do it, then it's like they should be the ones who release it.
Well, I'll send you guys some of my ideas.
Sounds good. We can just trade one for one. I'm sure the legal stuff will work itself out.
I feel like I'm outnumbered with, I think all the boys. You obviously write like 200, 300 songs a year, and then the other guys write too. So I think you guys will be all right. So the process, I guess, like what kind of, obviously you writing like super country stuff. Sometimes you write more of the pop stuff. You're really good at kind of jumping into that lane when you need to jump into it. Because obviously, like this one started, as you said, started it more rocky, but obviously still had its roots in country. And then obviously She Don't Know. That's another one. I think we'll just keep stealing your songs as long as you let us have them. But She Don't Know, super country, man. That was a really exciting one for me to cut. And when you have the idea or the melody or anything like that, like how do you bring that into a room? How do you kind of nurture that to grow into what it is in the end?
Yeah, I feel like I usually try to start with like ideas, and then sometimes you like have musical ideas and lyrical ideas, and they like live separately, and you bring them together. She Don't Know was an interesting one because that was over Zoom during COVID, and it was with obviously our mutual friend Travis Wood, and then a guy named Jonathan Singleton, who I'd never written with before, but he's written a bunch of the Luke Combs stuff, and it was just over Zoom, and we were knocked around ideas for like 45 minutes. And then I was like, well, I had this one, and I was like, I don't know exactly how to write it. I was like, but it's She Don't Know. I was like, that just sounds like a song title. And I was like, but I think you could do it like She Don't Know This, She Don't Know That, but She Don't Know How Much I Love Her. And Jonathan was like, you could do it. He's like, you could do a double negative and say, there ain't no way that she don't know. And I was like, oh, there it is. I was like, the song writes itself if you have the brain to put that one little piece of information in there. So that was one that did like that. And then it was just like one of us it was probably Travis started playing like that little vibe. And it was like a super country sounding song. And that was another one that it was like that that song sounds too country for like a guy like me, like for what we do, where it's more like rocky stuff. I was like, that doesn't make any sense, and it needed a sultry, deep voice on it, which I don't have. So it made a lot more sense for you. Shakin' In Them Boots was different though, because that was one where I actually had that like little guitar riff thing that I had just like been jamming and recorded, and I played in the room. The guy's like, that feels like a really cool vibe, and we just pitched around titles, and I was like, I've got this one called like She's Got Me Shaking in My Boots, or maybe it could be about how she's shaking in her boots. And then it was like, oh, that seems cool, and that's kind of how it came together. So it was like there was a musical idea and then a lyrical idea that just kind of like worked together, which I guess is kind of like the quote unquote magic of songwriting, that those things sometimes just work out.
It's kind of cool. So for me, it like lyrically made a lot of sense. You kind of put yourself there in the song.
Yeah, and I appreciate it. I know, like, that's it. When Todd sent it over, he's like, he really likes the groove of it and obviously the vibe, but he thinks it could be, 20%, 50% more country. And I was like, well, man, there's nothing wrong with going more country.
We got the video coming out. James, obviously, a huge part of this song. I feel like we couldn't release half a song, so we needed James to finish it and send it to us. And now we have a full music video to go with the song. So we're super, super grateful to have this song in our hands and the video out and the song on radio as well. And can't wait to see what it does. And yeah, so this has been a really awesome experience and having you on here. And thank you so much again for taking the time to hop on here and do this.
Awesome. Thanks, Will. Thanks for having me, and thanks for crushing the song and sounding like a hero, making a hit out of it.
The auto tune.
Yeah.
All right, we'll see you, dude.
Awesome.